And for our report tonight, stakeholders have linked incessant building collapse in Nigeria with failure on the part of building owners in consulting professionals rather than patronizing quacks. Experts also revealed that cutting corners by property owners is another major factor that has given rise to the ugly incident, which has continued to lead to the loss of innocent lives and properties worth billions of naira. Our staff reporter, Temidokpe Adedeji, has the details.
Residents of Lagos, Abuja, Osogbo in Osun State, and Jos in Plateau are still mourning the death of their loved ones who died in building collapse and lives were lost in the process. Plateau alone, over 21 school children were reportedly trapped. However, experts revealed that the incident happened as a result of some factors which can be corrected and avoided. A civil engineer and director of the Ondo State Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, Engineer Funmilayo Michael Oluwatayo, said two factors do necessitate such ugly incidents. He said it could either be design error or construction error. Oluwatayo emphasized that many of the building owners cherish cutting corners and develop interest in cheap labor.
Talking about building collapses around the country, there are so many factors that that can lead to building collapse. Majorly, these factors are grouped, I will group it to two, though we have some other factors that might be associated to that. We have, in a building, we can have design error or construction error. The first one, design error, the other one, construction error. Majorly, these collapses are not caused by design error because the professionals, the trained professionals, they are the ones that does the design. They do the designs, but when it gets to construction, you see most of the clients, most people that are the owner of these buildings, instead of engaging the professionals, they try to cut corners. So, and while trying to cut corners, these are the areas where they now bring in quacks just to make sure they go on cheap, they look for cheap labors. And when quacks are working, definitely there will be construction error. And the construction error leads to so many things. There are so many factors that accumulated into construction error. We have the mixed ratio. We have, like in buildings, from the foundation, there can be foundation error. We have, because the professional must have, the structural engineer must have designed from the roof to the foundation. And for all these quacks to interpret this, it's always difficult. You discover that most of these artisans, the skilled laborers that we use, the iron benders, the bricklayers, the carpenters, there are some of them that don't take to corrections. Some will tell you, they have been doing this job before you were born. So from the little experience they gathered, they will prove to the clients that they can do it more than the engineers. And that is where the problem comes in. These people will just assume the reinforcements. They will assume the mix. I have seen places where you see all these quacks throwing bags of cement without mix. They just throw it just to stabilize a swamp area. When they want to do the foundation, you see them carrying a whole lot of a bag of cement, just pouring it. Meanwhile, they have not treated the subsoil, the subgrade of that foundation. Underneath that foundation has not been treated. Like before anybody can get approval, let it be that the engineer that will supervise it must have been by the side. Like when we do design.
He went further that some buildings were initially designed for residential, but suddenly changed and converted to schools, which may not be able to accommodate a large number of people on it. Therefore suggested that experts should be hired, saying it is more expensive getting quacks than giving the job to the professional.
Some buildings, like the one that had just happened in Jos, I've been trying to look at the possibilities or the possible things that caused that. Probably that building might have been designed for residential initially. But you see these people converting into schools. And the loadings, when you are designing, the loadings for school buildings is different from the factor of safety you put is different from the residential buildings. That is the load. When you are designing a residential building, you only think of the people that would live there, the furnitures and all the rest. But in a church or in a building, in a school, the loadings, the people, the population there will be much more than when it is designed for a residential building. So these are some of the factors that normally causes this collapse.
Also, Barrister Adetoyibo said that structural engineers should be hired. He said the collapse is giving our country a bad image, saying adequate measures should be put in place.
What are the solutions? The parameters are that structural engineers should take appropriate measures. Before there is approval for construction of a skyscraper or these tall buildings, even an upstairs, a 3-story or 2-story building, get proper approval. Then the location of the land, the soil has to be examined. You are looking at by enumeration of an areas, evacuation. If you need to sandfill, you have waterlogged areas in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja. Most of these are urban centers. Building collapse every day, people losing their lives. It's unwelcome, it's unhealthy for Nigeria. In advanced country, you go to Dubai, you go to most of these, you see 50-story building, 30-story, 100,000 building. So the fact remains, they don't collapse. So you are talking about concrete blocks, concrete usage of materials. Very good cementing. It's not a matter of one load of sand with just one bag of cement. Because of the crisis or that of high cost of all these materials, now building materials, people shortchange those. Even government buildings are collapsing every day in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, in Ibadan, and elsewhere. Most urban centers. And loss of lives every day, people cannot be located. People are trapped.
The measure I would like to advise the people generally is they should try and patronize the professionals. Like most of them will say professionals are costly. I used to tell people when I'm going, anytime we are constructing any job, doing any job, I used to tell people that it is costlier to do bad job than to do good job. That is my belief. When you do a good job, you take it from the beginning, you do it rightly, it will cost you less than when you are doing it in a wrong way. When you are doing a job in a wrong way, along the line, you will have some cracks, you have some failures. You will want to correct it. That means at that stage you are spending more. So it is always good to do a good job. So I will advise people to patronize the professionals, people that are trained for this job. And the engineers too are very good when it comes to cost efficiency, cost management. They know when a quack will tell them they should go and buy reinforcement or so, and do this and this. The engineer must have see the design, see the economical reinforcement, see the economical mix that can be used. So that is the advantage. The only thing I would say is that let government promulgate laws. Government should try and enforce this law the more, so that we try and protect this issue of accidents, loss of lives through building collapses. There is need for more enforcement. Any site that is to be constructed, let there be full enforcement there.
Adetoyibo said that evaluation reports should be allowed before a building is sited, and that certificate of occupancy given be monitored before approving such building.
You have to make sure that what is approved for a 1-story building, don't make it a 2-story building. What is approved for a 3-story building, don't make it that. So the idea should be erected pillars, structural pillars. Building engineer should not do, mechanical engineer, petroleum engineer, other should not do the work of a building engineer. A building engineer is a structural engineer who erects structures. So it has to be confirmed. The estate valuers has to be invited. Surveyors and estate valuers, they have to do valuation. There should be evaluation report. So including what you put in place to put the building up. That's why I talk about cement, the gravel, the sand, and other things. So then you look at where you have loamy soil, you have clay soil, you have sandy soil. You look at that. That has to be put into mayor before a building is sited. And you look at the weight that goes up. So those are part of the issues. But I want to say that as at now, the Ministry of Land and Housing, the Land Bureau in Nigeria, in Lagos, in Ondo, everywhere, the consent of the governor to take C/O, certificate of occupancy, salary occupancy, has to be obtained adequately. So people have to be sure. Those who are in charge, the engineers in the ministries, the structural and the building engineer, the builders, have to ensure that appropriate approval, not just anybody. The building, the officials has to inspect it. The proper engineer has to be there to ensure that approval has to be given based on fulfillment of certain conditions. Not just that everybody you come because you have paid some money, it is time the building is approved. Before a building plan is approved, it has to pass through the appropriate agencies, and parameters has to be met. Then again, when you look at some people, the quacks, you are talking about an architect, a qualified architect, and somebody who says he's a designer. Designing what? Designing a building plan when it's not certificated. So you have to get those who are certified, okay, who are qualified to approve building plan, to prepare same. So look at the structure. Then when you now go to the Ministry of Appropriate Agencies, they have to approve what is in line with what is on ground.
From Akure, the Ondo State capital, Temi Tope Adedeji reporting for KAFTAN TV News.